Okay guys, do you see this jar right here? Yeah? This is a problem. So the other day I was walking through my collection of every fish ever. I was gonna put some clownfish back on the shelf when something caught my eye. A jar with an interesting looking fish inside. Let's crack open this jar and get a better look. Okay, it appears to be some sort of spherical shaped fish with a lot of prickly things on it. When I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, how cool. It's a jar of pufferfish. And it was in that moment that I realized I screwed up. Here's the deal. Everything in the collection is organized in a very specific way. All of the piranhas are together in one spot, the sharks are in one spot, the rays are in one spot, and theoretically, all of the pufferfish should be in one spot. But if you go over here, take a left and go down this aisle and look at the top shelf, you'll find that there's some pufferfish up there. To make things even worse, if you go down the aisle and look to the left, there's another jar with what also looks like pufferfish. To make matters even worse, I released a TikTok just a few weeks ago where I called something a pufferfish. 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 And now I'm not even sure if these pufferfish are pufferfish. Here's the deal. I thought every fish that was round and could inflate was a pufferfish. But after a little research, I found that there's porcupine fish and blowfish and these other fish that look just like pufferfish, but they're called burrfish. But today we're gonna set the record straight. We're cracking open every jar of something that looks like a pufferfish and trying to figure out once and for all what is a pufferfish and what isn't a pufferfish, and what the heck is a burrfish, and how's it different from a porcupine fish, and why does everyone gotta make it so complicated anyways? Real quick, if you'd like to support this channel, you can do it in a couple ways. One thing, we have merch for sale under this video on YouTube. Also, you can support the channel by becoming a member and get access to some behind the scenes tours of the collection, like this one going on in the background. And if you're looking for a few more perks, you can head on over to Patreon and see what's going on there. Link is in the description. First things first, we're gonna crack open these jars and take a closer look at what we're working with. Here are the terms that we're trying to figure out. As we go through, remember your best guess for which fish is which. Let's start with this one. Okay. Here's what we're looking at right here. Look at it from the front and from the side. Let's get a little bit closer look. Nice big eyes. And if we bring it to the side, you can see that it has a bunch of really long prickles on it. Let's take a closer look at those prickles. You can see they're kind of like, almost kind of hooked. They all stick straight out. They're a little sharp. Some of them are a little blunt. And they all kind of point towards the back a bit. Okay, that's fish number one. Remember what you saw here? Let's move on to fish number two. Okay, nice. This one looks a little bit different. Let's get real close in there. Okay, it's got some prickles, but these look a little bit different than the last one, wouldn't you say? It looks like these ones kind of point a little bit more straight out. They're a little less hooked. They're all very pointy and they're skinny too. So that's the second fish. Remember what this looks like. And now let's move on to the third and final fish. This one is even more different than the last. Check this out. No prickles at all on this guy. It's just smooth all around. Okay, so we have 4 terms and we've seen the 3 fish. Now comes the time to test ourselves. Do you think you correctly identified these fish? Let's find out. Which of these do you think is a porcupine fish? These two right here. Turns out porcupine fish are all of the fish in a certain family, Diodontidae. They're characterized by having some sort of what I call like armature on them. If they're spiky, they're a porcupine fish. These two had some spikes on them, so we can both qualify those as porcupine fish. If something's kind of prickly, like a porcupine, it's a porcupine fish. How about this one? Which one of these is a burrfish? This fish right here is a burrfish. Burrfish are a subset of porcupine fish. They're kind of like a type of porcupine fish. Burrfish spines aren't as sharp and long and pointy as other porcupine fish, and they're also immovable, so they can't kind of move them around. So everything prickly is a porcupine fish, and if its prickles are a little shorter and aren't as sharp, then it's a burrfish. Here's the next one, pufferfish. Which one do you think is a pufferfish? This one right here. This one's admittedly a little bit more tricky, but I asked a couple friends of mine who are fish experts. And generally speaking, when you call something a pufferfish, you're referring to something in the family Tetradontidae. This is entirely different than the porcupine fish, another separate family. So fish in this family don't have prickles like porcupine fish. They're smoother. So if a fish is more smooth and doesn't have prickles, then it's a pufferfish. And finally, blowfish. What do you think is a blowfish? Let's try that one out. This one right here, blowfish and pufferfish are kind of interchangeable terms. Those are the ones that mean the same thing, blowfish and pufferfish. Okay, knowing what we know now, let's do some rapid ID. What kind of fish is in this jar that we pulled at the very beginning of this whole thing? This is a porcupine fish, or more specifically, a burrfish, because it has those shorter, immovable needles that aren't as long and skinny. And finally on my TikTok, let's go through it real quick. Pufferfish. That's a porcupine fish. Pufferfish. That's a porcupine fish. Pufferfish. That's a burrfish. Pufferfish. And that's a burrfish. None of those were pufferfish. My bad. Everybody makes mistakes.